Hey everybody, I'm the Bat Otter, and I'm going to be reviewing the human chair from this Junji Ito's Venus in the Blind Spot compilation. I have stickers. Go follow me on Instagram. Check them out if you want any. And this story, the human chair, I liked from the very beginning because it's a very creepy, unsettling premise, and the way that it's handled throughout the story is almost to the point where even you, as the reader, is questioning whether or not this is actually happening, or if you're going just as crazy as the woman in question. It starts off with a contemporary writer going to a furniture store, and the guy saying, well, actually, I have a nice chair that you could ride in, because, chairs could really change your life. And she's like, what are you talking about? He says, well, there was this writer. She was the wife of a secretary at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and an accomplished writer. Every day, unknown admirers would send her letters and manuscripts. One day, she had one that described a man who, in order to satisfy his pleasures of his perversion, he built a chair and sat inside it, so that way whenever the woman would sit in the chair, he could get off, right? And it was a very detailed, vivid manuscript that was eerily similar to her own situation, but whenever she published it, people loved it. Presumably because it's so unsettling, and it's a really good story. So whenever they try to contact the guy and give him the praise and try to credit the writer, the address that he provided in the letter was false. So she goes back home after a long day and is really unsettled by the chair, right? Like I said, the whole idea behind this one is uncertainty and confusion and paranoia, which I really like. I'm a fan of all of those things, especially for horror premises. One day they hear creaking in the night, and the husband goes to investigate. They think, no, maybe they're in the chair. And he's like, what are you talking about? They go into the room with all the creaking. There's nobody there. Just the lone chair. He's like, who's in here? And she's terrified of it, looking at it, and you get this really creepy picture of a face almost coming out of one of the cushions in the area, and she screams, she loses it. So they go after the chair, and they're like, there's nothing in there. He even goes so far as to whack it with his stick, saying, look, see, it doesn't even twitch, it doesn't even move. Until one day, he goes to leave, and she gets another letter. It says, you haven't been sitting in my chair recently. I wonder if you have any idea how terribly sad this makes me. Additionally, can you begin to understand, madam, how great was my suffering on a certain night when I received such poor treatment? And very vivid language, saying, you must sink down deep into me and be held gently by my body. Otherwise, you cannot make full use of your true creative power. I know this as well. Madam, you are such that you simply cannot live without me, and I too cannot live without you. I eagerly await the day when I can become one with you forever. Oh, vivid, disgusting. I love it. She crumples it up and freaks out. She's like, it's absolutely ridiculous. The chair has no power over me. I can write however I want. I don't need the chair to write. It's psyching her out, man. It's messing with her head. I love it. Until the husband sits in the chair, and he's like, look, see, there's nobody in the chair, and he's dead. Because there's a knife through the chair. She calls the police. She's freaking out. And they find... Again, Junji Ito does not sleep on the details, on the rendering, on any of it. It's actually impressive, the way that he's able to craft some of these things for the sake of giving you a very big reveal. And they see the mechanism. You see the guy's face imprint, the depth in the chair, the way that he puts his arms through the sides, the springs, the knife, everything that he's been living on. I mean, how freaky can it be, right? That you see the face imprint. And I love the cross-hatching here. You guys know I'm a big fan of cross-hatching. And the way it's used to convey that depth of the chair. And what I have noticed is Junji Ito really doesn't use screen tones nearly as much as any other mangaka. Especially, I mean, I've read so much Berserk, and Berserk is chock full of screen tones, whereas Junji Ito really extracts value from the lines. And I think, for the most part, he gets away with it, but I don't believe that it's the best thing. I think he really could benefit from from using screen tone. So he tells her the story. The woman ends up going missing and is never found again. And she's like, so is this chair the same one? He's like, no, this ain't the same chair. That chair was seized by the police. He's done telling the story, you know? Hilarious. The book doesn't stay still. Maybe there's somebody in the book. They're gonna kill me. He says, I only show this to people I really like. You can kind of see where it's going. He reveals that both of their corpses are inside the chair. Now, I thought this was hilarious. You'll see that as a recurring thing as I continue to review these stories. Because, look, man, if you go back to the page where he's in the chair, how does he live in there? If he's... It's presumed that the back of the chair is right up on his back. So how was he able to take his hand out of there, since it's such a perfect fit, and put the knife through, unless he has more space? I don't think that's possible. He can only be getting a lap dance from a dude if he's sitting in the chair like this. He needs more space, unless this chair is bigger than I think. Even so, how big is it that you can put a knife here? I can see a knife here, or here, but you're talking about pulling your arms all the way out of those things. There's only enough space for that. You're like hurting yourself almost. Or you're breaking through the back of the chair, depending on how well it's sewn up. It can't possibly be that well sewn up if they're able to pry it open like that. Or if he's coming in and out every night to get food, how is he eating in there? Oh, well, what is he opening the cans with his mouth? And they don't smell the food inside of the... Anyway, he says, this is the fate of Yoshiko Togawa and the man who loved her so deeply. The man's feelings were reciprocated and she gained eternal comfort. After Yoshiko's disappearance, they lived as a couple in this chair until the natural end of her days. I suppose it was a strange, somewhat bizarre married life. Of course, they were also blessed with children. He says, Miss, would you believe me if I said I am one of those descendants? This girl's like, listen, man, you're crazy. He says, I love your work, but I've heard you've been having some trouble lately. Is it true you've been having writer's block? And she's like, no, I'm okay. And she runs back to her office where, lo and behold, she's having writer's block. That is until she gets a special delivery. And what is it other than a chair? She starts freaking out. She's like, I didn't order the chair. And this guy's going to pop out the back of it. And man, I like it. It's fun. It was pretty clear where it was going eventually, whenever she ran away and the story continued. And it ends with the guy coming out of the chair. But I'm like, listen, there are like two dudes there. They could just beat him up, you know? They didn't leave. I don't know. I mean, sure, it's scary, but the guys can just jump him, right? Call the police. It is the modern era, after all. You see how these stories just don't appeal to me? They're more like comedies to me than anything else. But I enjoyed it. I liked the paranoia. I liked all the underlying themes of it all. But for the most part, I thought it was more funny than it was creepy, especially towards the very end, and whenever the guy's just being an absolute creep towards her. But yeah, that was the story of the Human Chair by Edgar Allan Poe, and I enjoyed it. Like I said, I just asked too many questions. So that was the review. Let me tell you guys, tell me what you guys think in the comments. Like the video. Be sure to check me out on social media, on Instagram, on Twitter. Check out my short story. It's 8 pages called The Pigeon Queen on Gumroad. Link will be in the description. And other than that, I'll see you guys in the next video.